when people create goals for their business, they make it in like a linear. They're like, here's where I am. What?
That's so ridiculous. That's comedic.
Where they're like,
we're going to the moon, baby.
Yeah, here's where I am. There it is. It's right there. We're going to get there. And it's little do you know, it's not a linear path. It's a maze.
Oh yeah, it's a maze.
When people make that linear path, that's when they already fail because they start making steps and then something happens and they have to take steps back.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, I'm getting further away from my goal. Might as well find something new. When in reality, it's a maze. You are still moving towards your goal, but if you move back, it's because you have to move back to get to that next tunnel.
Right.
All right. It's all you.
How have you been, man? Like, honestly, every time that we get together, like, genuinely, I do enjoy spending time with you, and I feel like I wish we could do more together, but it's even better that we get to do business and stuff together, too, and make content and do all these good things, but...
Yeah, no, it's every time we do get together, I think it's like one of those friendships where it's like you don't talk for a while, but when you do, it's like
no time has passed.
Yeah, no time has passed, but it's usually a good thing because I also hear that is relevant for people who are doing the most.
True.
So people who are constantly driving, people who are driven naturally fall into what they need to get done, and then they check back in, and then it's like, hey, what all have you accomplished in 2 weeks?
Since we last spoke, yeah. What have you been up to?
Dude, well, I just dropped a YouTube video talking about the past 3 years, the starting of our business. I've been doing a lot of eating crap lately.
Yeah, I hear you. I think a lot of people are in that boat. What consisted of like that episode, and like what did you speak about? Because we're gonna dig into backstory here.
Yeah.
Off the rip. So like, what did you talk about? What was your journey like starting? Like, how did you get into business? And like, what did that look like? What was the vision that you had?
And what did the crap taste like? I got you. So basically, I started getting out of high school. I was wanting to go into the Air Force. So I was training to go into the Air Force. And I actually was going to the recruiter's office when just a couple months ago I had bought my first camera, and it's Canon G7X. It's smaller than this. And I wanted to be the next Roman Atwood. I don't know if you...
I'm familiar.
If any of you know Roman Atwood. I wanted to be the next Roman Atwood. So I was doing a lot of vlogging, but I was going to the recruiter's office, and for some reason... I felt God was like, yo, this is where you need to be. Like, I looked over my passenger seat. I remember seeing the camera laying there. I was like, oh, man. And I turned around. So I never went to the recruiter's office.
Really?
I turned around and I came back. And obviously my parents were pissed. They were like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm going to make money with a camera. And they were like, okay. But luckily enough, my parents are not... they're very safe. They're always like, have a plan B. But they're also... You know what? If you're driven, you'll make it. So I was lucky enough to have parents that were very optimistic and driven themselves. So started the business. I went to an entrepreneurship class at PSC, Pensacola, and our midterm was to get the business plan of our business written out. And I wanted to be mainly doing weddings and music videos. So I wrote the business plan out. Got an A on the midterm, and I never showed back up. I took that business plan and I just made it happen.
Yeah.
So,
good man.
Also made my parents mad with that because we were paying for that.
Right.
But never showed back up. Started with weddings. Very quickly learned I don't like filming weddings. So recently, as in what that video I uploaded was mainly talking about, was over the past 2 years, we transitioned into commercial narrative and mainly music video work, which is very much more on the creative side of things. And given the Pensacola market, weddings and real estate is where video is at. And I really didn't want to do weddings, and real estate I enjoy, but this is also before I knew the importance of knowing your market, which is, again, kind of what screwed me up. But we went from having total transparency. We went from the first year of our business, we made $108,000 on income. And then again, we didn't have much overhead. So that profit was like 80,000. Like we didn't have, there was no overhead whatsoever. So we did good. And I didn't know what I was doing correct, what I was doing wrong, because this is the first year of the business. And I was automatically like, dang, this is easy. Obviously, I'm staying here. Why doesn't everybody do this? And then I quickly figured out why everybody doesn't do this. I proposed. We moved to a new office space, a studio. And then very quickly, all of our clients dropped. So now I'm planning a wedding. Our expenses for a studio, which was a 2,400 square foot studio in city limits, and we were getting no income. So slowly but surely, all that money was just pouring out of our bank. We were just paying out of pocket. By the end of the end of 2022, we had over $30,000 ready to just spend wherever we wanted. And then obviously we had savings and stuff like that. But by the by the middle of 2023, all of our savings gone. We had a total of $83 in the bank completely. And that is when I learned this is why everybody just doesn't do this. Because I was shown completely what I didn't have, which was causing my business to fall apart. I needed to have this. I needed to have people who can help me with this. I didn't have the foundations that you need for a business. So whenever the top got too heavy, the lack of foundation obviously made it all crumble.
Right.
But luckily enough, this year we've been growing a real foundation. So ever since November of 2023, because that was the wedding, or that was the wedding. So right after the wedding, I was like, I had more conviction because now I had a family. Now I had things that, in my opinion, I have turned into the man of a family. I had so much more drive to make something work. So we've been able to start creating those foundations, those systems, processes. We've been able to kind of hit the ground running with understanding you got to do the work. The money will come, but what you're doing, who you're doing it for, and why you're doing it is so much more important than the financial monetization that's going to come out of that. So that was a lot, but that's where we are now. So now we are, we are in that hit the ground running phase where we are just structuring everything that we do. Been watching a lot of Alex Hormozy.
Yeah, he's a beauty.
Yeah,
he's dropping all the gems.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone can quite compete with him right now with the value that he provides.
Dude, and it's crazy because he'll say things, and like most people, they'll say something and they'll come up with this quote, and I'm like, oh, if I would only thought of that first. Every time he posts something, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing that he says that I'm like, if I would have said that first, because everything he says is so genuine and from experience that it's like.
Yeah. I mean, he does a really good job of actually being able to articulate himself too, but he just has so much information and so much life experience that you can't really compare yourself to where he's at. Like he has like 10 plus years. He's built multiple successful companies. Now he's doing private equity. Like he's able to actually go in and help companies become more successful than they already are. He's just on a completely different level. So you're also a knowledgeable guy.
How'd you get there? I want to hear, like, obviously I gave my backstory. I want to take me into early Owen days.
So, this is going to be a complicated story because there's a lot of moving parts, and I haven't really delved into it to like the capacity that I'm going to. This will be a first time, so
getting a first look, folks.
Yeah. So, when I was young, probably I grew up in a relatively well-off area, but my family didn't necessarily come from money. So I grew up around money.
Mm-hmm.
I saw people kind of living on, the other side of the tracks, if you will.
Okay.
We weren't broke by any means. Maybe when I was really, really young and it was just my mom and I, she was hustling every day trying to get by. But when I got back to New York, everything was all right. Like we were good middle class and we were stable. But being around the environment I was in, like there's a few billionaires in my hometown. It wasn't uncommon to see millionaires. A small lake town, upstate New York, and I had to deal with the surroundings of seeing it, and I was like, people are going out on the lake, they're doing ABC, they're going golfing, they're doing all these things. Thankfully enough, I was able to play hockey, and my family did help give me that opportunity. And I think without hockey, it wouldn't have given me the character and the drive and the discipline, the consistency, and all the things that make up who I am today. So I'm super grateful for that opportunity. I was able to go travel the country quite a bit and see different cultures, see the ups and downs. Cool. So that opened up a whole bunch of experiences for me that I wouldn't have had otherwise. But when I was young, I'd be selling stuff out of my locker. Like I'd be selling cookies and stuff in class, and we'd get in trouble for that.
You were the guy with the jacket that you'd open up and be like, what do you want?
Not exactly, but no, I would do that, and I would help out when I could, and we'd always do the school fundraisers and stuff. And I would always be trying to find a way to get more leverage and give it to parents or something that have a better network to be able to sell it for me instead of me doing it. So I was always trying to, I was always trying to find ways to get around things. And I didn't like to, not that I didn't like to work hard, but I tried to work smart too. It's why would I do this when I could be doing something that I would rather enjoy than selling all this stuff? I could find someone else that can sell it better than I could. So I'd be going around doing things like that. But when I got older, coming out of my hockey career during COVID, unfortunately, COVID kind of ruined the end of my hockey career. And I wasn't happy with it. I was I don't see a future for this anymore, and I'm super grateful for this. But I still was I want to make a lot of money. I was this is something I want to do. And watching my mom grind by herself, no father figure in my life, just seeing her fucking break her back for me and my sister, I was I need to find a way to earn a lot of income for myself and to be able to give her a better life too. So I started studying everything. I was college is stupid. I'm here to learn computer science. That's what I went to school for. But I'm I can go get a computer science job and make, a good salary. Turns out when you actually realize how much money's in the world, fucking salaries are a bunch of bullshit, and $250,000 a year is fuck all. So when you realize there's people out here Elon printing $1 billion a day, it's fucking bullshit. It's all garbage. It's all a lie. So I was okay, the people that are really making money are the business people, the entrepreneurs. So I was okay, so how do I run an actual business and how do I sell a product? So sales is number one. That was number one, all the stuff I used to flip back in the day. I had a basic understanding of commerce. You buy low, you sell high. So I was all right, how do I get something and do that at scale? And I started studying everything. What can I sell? What's the most profitable thing that I can sell the most volume of? And I started studying everything: stocks, crypto, commerce, online businesses, service industry, product, information, all of it. And I just went down this rabbit hole of studying everything and trying to find out what business model I liked and what I was interested in and I could see myself getting into in the future. I was what do I want to do? Because I didn't care. I'll sell anything. I was whatever I can run up and make the most money. My goal is to make as much money as possible. I didn't care what I was gonna do. I was if I enjoy it, bonus. But if I don't and I still can earn from it, I'm only gonna plan on doing it through my 20s, and hopefully by the time I can retire and do whatever I want. That was the mindset.
Okay.
But coming out, I was okay. I was leaving hockey, and one semester we had the ability to go home, so we didn't play at all. We weren't doing anything on campus, so I wanted to save money by not having room and board and just go home and take everything online. And that's the time where I started getting into it. I started studying real estate, a bunch of stuff. My family did have a little real estate portfolio, so my great grandfather was an entrepreneur. He was, building things. He had a carpet business at first, so I saw him operating a carpet business when I was really young. And then as he got older, he started investing in real estate and having properties. He would flip it with my grandfather. My grandfather owned a small construction company with him and a few people. And my grandfather would partner with my great grandfather, and my great grandfather would go fund it, buy the properties. My grandfather would go in, fix them up, and they would either flip them or they'd hold them and rent them. So I got to watch that process. I didn't ask a whole lot of questions, but I saw them doing it. And I was okay, they're on to something here.
That's smart.
And there's a lot of people in our area that were big real estate people. So I was okay, this must be turns out real estate's how 90% of millionaires are made, but that's a awesome market. So that's like the first thing that got me into it. And watching that process, I'm like, I don't have the money to be able to get into real estate like that. It turns out there's other ways to get capital and do that, but we'll talk about that later. Anyways, I got into watching that, and then I got really interested in the internet space and being able to sell products online, because that's where, like, you know, internet money, you can get in front of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. That became the new wave of our generation. So I was like, that's the way that we're gonna have to go. And as I did that, I started learning about digital marketing and a bunch of other stuff. I actually met someone while I was home that semester playing Call of Duty. Not the best influence. I started to get a little depressed, and I started picking up some bad habits. I was smoking weed and shit and doing dumb shit. Nothing really bad, but I started picking up dumb habits and hanging around stupid people. And I started to wise up. I was like, I can't be around this forever. But I started like selling weed so I could fucking smoke for free or really cheap. And it escalated, and I started flipping, and I started selling weed for a while. And I actually got to the point where I was like, I was actually kind of selling weed, like actually selling weed. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be known for this type of person. I don't want this to be my persona, because it's not really what represented me. But it was an opportunity to get my feet wet and kind of learn. And I learned a lot from it, and I'm super grateful for that. So I went through that process. We actually got an LLC filed, and my friend was from Oregon that was helping me out with it. We actually started working where his cultivation center, he was able to get licensed for cultivation, and then we would take that, and I was learning how to cold call from real estate. I was working in real estate for a little bit. I got licensed, and I was just like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this. But I learned how to wholesale real estate while I was studying that. And I applied wholesale real estate, which, if you're not familiar with that, you don't need to be licensed realtor to do it. All you have to do is find a property, get it under contract, and you essentially reassign the rights for a fee to another investor, and they could take it over, and they can go flip it, they can go rent it out, do whatever they want with it. And it's usually rundown properties. But it's really hard to get those contracts all the time without a big network. So I was like, this isn't fast enough money. So I took that business model and I applied it to the cannabis industry. And I started doing cold calls for them to dispensaries in Oregon. And I was able to land wholesale pack orders the same way without a license that I needed. And I was able to get it under contract through them and have them reassign the rights. And I would take a fee for redistributing for them. And that's kind of how we started. And we grew that to, from year one, I ran it for about a year and a half, 2 years, really close to 2 years, not about 2 years. But we brought for that from 0 to 1.2 million in revenue for that time. And that was like the first success I had. And the problem with it was when we were getting licensed, you had to re-up on your license every 2 years. And we would probably bring in about 200K a year in profit. So we'd have to work a whole year, make money, and then the following year we'd do close to that again. But that whole second or first year, whatever you want to take, would be our entire license fee for 2 years. So we had to work for a whole year, like slaving ourselves away for no reason. We didn't even get to keep any of that money. And then we're getting taxed on top of that too. So I was like, this isn't a good business model. Like, we're going to just get wrecked. So we just exited, and we were done. We got out. We were like, we can't do this. We don't have the capacity to do this. So I cut my losses, took that capital, came to Florida after I was done, and I got away from all the people that I didn't want to be around. I didn't want to be in that environment anymore. And then I came down and I met someone on my way down when I was building websites and stuff at school for computer science stuff. I had tested drop shipping, and that was like how I got into e-commerce at first. But I had no idea what I was doing. I wasn't good at it at all. But I understood the business model, how it functioned, and I was like, I want to do this. This is what I want to do. I want to build a brand. I want to build a real brand. That's what I started doing in the cannabis industry, and I wasn't able to take it any further because I didn't have the resources or the knowledge that I have now. And I just transitioned, came down here, started studying immensely, started spending all the money I had on education, meeting people that were very successful. Turns out a lot of the fucking industry is bullshit. It's all garbage. There's only like 1% of people that are actually doing it, that are real entrepreneurs and actually good at it. And it's hard to get in touch with those people. But I was able to meet someone playing Rocket League, again, networking through video games. Awesome kid. I fucking love him to death. He's my ride or die boy. Shout out Gabe Miller, Gib, at Gib, G-I-B. Go check him out. He's a fucking legend. But he took me under his wing, and he taught me a lot of shit. He's currently exiting his company for fucking like $5 million right now. So he's killing it. And there's obviously, he's not the biggest one out there, but fucking kid's 21, 22 years old. He's a fucking man.
Yeah, and the fact that you said he's exiting for 5 and he's not the big, like that.
He's not even a big guy in it. No. He's very successful, very smart kid. He's fucking awesome. I love him to death. But he introduced me to his entire network. We went to Fort Lauderdale last year, and I met a ton of people, got a bunch of information. And I met so many people to build my network, and now I have an entire ecosystem for e-commerce. And now I've been able to test a bunch of stuff and have had some success, some downfalls, and that's where we're at. And now I'm currently building an education platform around it with everything that I've learned and being a fly on the wall, meeting everybody from my learnings and my failures, and then being able to just give back and show people that it can be done. And it's the reality of it is just not the same as the way they paint the picture of it online. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's hard, and it's not supposed to be easy, and anything worth doing is normally hard. But I think once you get over that hurdle, and if you do anything that's actually difficult, you're always like super proud of yourself, and it's worth doing every time. But that's pretty much where I'm at today.
That's cool.
And now we're just going to be building out a system where creators can come to us, and we're going to be able to build out the whole business and ecosystem and the brand for them based on the product that is catered to their actual audience.
That's smart.
That's where we're at now.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. That's cool to hear. The fact that something that we were talking about beforehand is there's so many people who try to say things that don't have the experience.
Mm-hmm.
They just try to convince you that they have the experience. The fact that, how old are you?
I just turned 24 this May.
Yeah. And you already have that experience. That's just cool that now you have so much more room, like the amount of potential you already have, and you're just now 24. Dude, that should be such a good feeling that like you're 24, and even though the goal is to work hard so that we can, make things happen sooner rather than later, but at the same time knowing that, I'm not 60 years old trying to start something for the first time.
Yeah, and that's another thing is like watching people like work jobs like their whole life. Like you're young and you're asking people, what do you do, this and that, or your parents are introducing you to their friends like this is what they do. You're like, you've been working that same job since you were 25 and you're now just retiring with a pension. You've been working that job for that long. I'm like, fuck, bro, I don't plan on working a job more than a year, bro. Like, are you out of your fucking mind? When I was young, living in that wealthy environment, like I would see people driving down the road in like a Ferrari or something. Like my mom works for $30 an hour, $20 an hour, whatever. I'm like, she couldn't work her whole life and save the money to buy this car.
Buy that, yeah.
There's another way. Like there's another way to make this wealth and be able to. People are buying these things in cash, bro.
Yeah,
fucking cash. Like, what do you think? You think that? And people don't ask these questions. I'm like, you think they just spawned it in? You think,
yeah.
you think this is GTA, bro? No, they fucking there's an algorithm to it, and you're not doing it right. Like, there's a way to do it.
Yeah, like, that's like that term that you don't need to make wealth, you generate wealth, or you don't earn wealth, you generate wealth. That's a cool thought. That like,
yeah,
it's not like the only way to make money is not to go. At least is how I interpret it. The only way to make money is not working for somebody, going to do a 9 to 5, going to like doing the interview setup, and like going to get someone to pay you. It's about creating your own systems to generate your own wealth to the point where then you can pay people to help you out.
Yeah, and that's part of it. I mean, working 9 to 5 isn't like a bad way of earning income. Like it's the base level of actual earned income and being able to work for it. But like you can work a really good job that has decent income, and you can still take that income and save it and invest it in other things that are going to generate you more income. I'm not dissing people that work 9 to 5 that have a great career and everything, but if you're working a very base level job where you're not earning enough income to be able to really redistribute that into assets, they're going to generate you more, then you're kind of at a dead end. You either need to level up and get a better job that's going to earn more, or you need to go into entrepreneurship and you need to find a way to be able to work for yourself and generate way more income.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about, no matter if you are your own boss or you're not, it's all about your mindset. Like, I was recently talking to somebody, one of my friends, who was like, they were wanting a raise. They had been working this job for years, and they're like, I want a raise. And I was like, why don't you ask? And they were like, well, I don't want to get fired. And I was crazy. Like, that's a horrible place to be in, because now you're going to be stuck there. The fact that you've worked at this place for this amount of time and you still think you're going to get fired by just voicing your opinion a little bit. That's the type of 9 to 5 mindset that has got to go away. Yeah. Because it's like, you're going to be stuck there. While if you were to go to your boss, first of all, if you were to go to your boss and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what you have me doing, I deserve this, you're honestly going to get more respect. It's sad to see people who are like, yeah, I'm fine. I'll just, it's like, oh my gosh, but you're
complacent.
falling short to what you could be.
Yeah.
And it just sucks. It sucks.
Yeah. People, you gotta have the growth mindset and know that you want more out of life, and people are living in fear.
Yeah.
It's so awful, because that's how 99% of the world lives, is in fear. And it's like, how?
Yeah.
Like, there's so much opportunity. There's unlimited opportunity out there. Like, there's no shortage of ideas. It's just execution. Are you willing to go do the things that people aren't willing to do?
Yeah.
Just get uncomfortable. But
that's been my term. That, like, being comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
That has been something like this is probably like a drastic take, but when you're learning something, sometimes you need to learn in a drastic manner. So then when you get to where you want to be, you can pull back and understand the actual flow of what it means to implement that knowledge. So being comfortable with being uncomfortable. If I am trying to make a decision between two things, and it's not super important. It's not like, where do I invest my money? If it's like, do I want to go watch, like, if I have free time, do I want to watch a movie or do I want to play a video game? I literally will think to myself, okay, which one would I rather do right now?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, I'd rather go play video games. I force myself to go watch a movie.
Really?
Just because I'd rather do this, I'm just forcing myself to do something I don't want to do.
That's interesting.
And it's just to be like, it's just to train my body to be like, if there's something I want to do, but I know I should be here,
mm-hmm.
that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I do the same thing, but my thought process is like, those two things seem very comforting. So like mine is like, do I want to play video games or should I go to the gym right now? I should probably go to the fucking gym. Like, it's like more growth stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, do I want to chill and watch a movie, or should I record some videos and push further? It's like, I should probably fucking be disciplined and do the thing I got to do.
It makes sense. Even like, especially if there is if you're making that choice, obviously, if there is one that's going to benefit you,
mm-hmm.
no matter if you'd rather do it or not, obviously the benefit is where you should go. Like I remember Miranda, my wife, she asked me, she was like, hey, she's been into crocheting lately. Mm-hmm. She's like, I don't know what I'd rather crochet. Do I want to crochet this or do I want to crochet that? And I asked her, I was like, well, which one would you rather do? Like, which one sounds more fun? She was like, well, this one, but I've done it before. I was like, have you ever done that one? She was like, no, but I was like, okay, do that one. I was like, because the fact that that's a little more uncomfortable, now you're going to be able to put something new into your inventory. So you should do that.
Yeah.
So just doing something that, always going for the uncomfortable, especially if there's a little more benefit. Now, obviously, if your choice is movie or video games, how about neither? Go to bed. But but at the same time, if your choice is movie or gym,
mm-hmm.
I mean, there's an obvious choice.
Yeah, there should be, depending on like what your priorities are and what your values are. But I mean, video games could be, if you're a streamer, then that's work, right?
Boom.
So it just depends.
That's true. I started doing something that, God, it's the most annoying thing ever. Cold showers, but specifically not at the end of the day. At the end of the day, your body is already woken up.
Yeah,
You're like, a cold shower is just like slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's right when you wake up. Like cold shower for 5 minutes right when you wake up, you literally get so, like, you'll wake up and you'll just be pissed. You're like, I've got to go take the shower. But after you're done, when I tell you I never get the amount of work done that I do, like when I've taken a cold shower versus when I haven't, it's crazy. And it's just because I'm forcing myself to do something that's uncomfortable, but I know of the benefits that are there. And my willpower throughout the rest of the day is just...
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of studies on it, like scientifically, like it gets your endorphins up and does a bunch of stuff, helps get your cortisol out. It's pretty cool. But it's funny that you mentioned that, because there's a handful of e-commerce companies that sell the ice baths that are trending.
Shoot.
Those guys are absolutely destroying right now.
Yeah.
Destroying. Yeah. Huge 8-9 figure companies selling those fuckers. It's crazy.
I've been getting all the ads for like buy a ice bath, get a sauna for free, and I've been getting all those ads.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Dude. They're in your data, man.
Dude, okay. I do have a question that is coming from what I've been working on over these past these past like 6-7 months.
Okay.
For people who don't know what an SOP is, because I I know what it is now.
Right. Yeah.
But whenever I was listening to Alex Hormozy and he was like, all right, your SOPs need to be here and here. And I was like, what is a SOP? Like, I don't.
Yeah.
What is an SOP and why is it so important?
An SOP is a standard operating procedure, and this is something that honestly most foundationally is in your life, like routine, right? And like it's something that intuitively every entrepreneur should be able to put together. And the people that are true bootstrapped entrepreneurs that build things from the ground up, they start off, self-employed or independent, and they grow it up and build a team. Like you have to do all of the jobs that are relative to that business to function, right? You should be able to understand all of them. So you need to be able to build routines for yourself or operating procedures that are, efficient and seamless and streamlined. And you can go study from other bigger entrepreneurs that have more efficient systems than you. But bare minimum, you should have a procedure of how you do things A to Z. And being able to have that and implement that so it's a rinse and repeat and it's automated. If you can't write your SOP down on paper step by step as like an algorithm and be able to hand that to someone and have them execute it, then you don't have an SOP. But SOPs at scale essentially give your team members the ability to have an algorithm or like a set steps or order of steps in order to execute a particular task. So for instance, when we're fulfilling something via dropshipping, like the SOP would be, the order comes in, and a lot of this is automated by software, but it's still a function. So the order comes in, that order is then downloaded through Xiaomi, which is a ERP, which is essentially a commerce managing software that our fulfillment agent uses. They have a team of their own that downloads that information, has the customer's information as far as like the address, their name, all that good stuff. And then they'll have the product information, and then they have to go through the warehouse, find the particular area that product's in, get it, bag it, package it, and they have an operating procedure to be able to do all those steps in a particular order to make it as low friction and as efficient as possible, and then be able to fulfill that and send it out to your customers. Like that's one instance of a SOP, but there can be dozens of different SOPs in every business, and every business is different. So being able to build that out, saves you a lot of time. It's not
like you have to be at that level, because I feel like most people are thinking, okay, well, I'm not at that level yet. I'll make systems when I get there. But it's like you've got to start. Like that's the whole point of when people say you're building your foundation now. It's not, oh, I'll do that when it's time for it. It's when it's time for it, I should already be there. I should already be prepared. So something, especially if you're a creative watching this, I'm a creative. SOPs are probably one of the most beneficial things that you're going to do to jumpstart your business. I'm not structured. You can ask Owen, I'm like, I want to find, like, I'm super ADHD trying to find the next creative thing to do. Whenever I can systemize my schedule, that's been the biggest thing. That's the one thing that I've done that I would say I've got to recommend to everybody. I got into Google Sheets. Make a sheet, an Excel sheet, whatever it is. I can't remember who I was watching.
He's a freak in the sheets.
Dude.
You dog. You.
What you got to do for a creator, I'm going to be speaking to the creators right now.
Okay.
If you are a creator who is a creator/entrepreneur, you're trying to run your own thing right now, you need to schedule your 6 days of work, 6 days. You can have one rest day. 6 days of work, and each day is alternating a manager day or a maker day. That one was Alex, wasn't it?
That was a big Alex one. Yeah,
okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Time blocking and everything.
Yeah. So your maker day, that's your day where you just get to let your dopamine run. That is your creative day. Making videos, photography, whatever it is you're creating, those are your days. Your manager days, you're making cold calls. You're doing ads. You're outreaching. That's your business brain day. So maker days are your right brain. Manager days are your left brain. And the big thing for each of these days, so you make your Excel sheet. You have each day. Every 30 minutes is a new block. And you should write down every 30 minutes what you've done. So every 30 minutes, okay, at this point I was editing this video. Okay, I was editing this video for 6 hours. Blah, 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 blah. And then on my manager day, okay, I reached out to this person at 10:30. At 11, I did this. At 11:30, I accidentally found myself scrolling on TikTok for 30 minutes. So then 11:30, TikTok. And you write it all down. And at the end of your week, you go back and you look and you think to yourself, what day did I do best? So what was my most productive day? you analyze that day, and then you start to structure every day to match what you did there. So it's like, oh, the day whenever I spent 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. just creating, and then I spent the rest of the day doing some necessary tasks like revisions on edits or whatever it may be for the creators. That means you structure every maker day just like that, because that's how you're going to be able to implement your willpower in fractions that work for you. Try that out, because after I've been doing that, researching and analyzing my week and then structuring my week to fit through my tested and tried process, it's been great. For all the creators out there who are, wondering, I'm putting the effort in, but why is it not working? There's two problems. You either misunderstand what real effort looks like, or the effort is just misplaced. Real.
Yes, focus. Focus is a big one. Being able to be aware and conscientious of what you're actually doing, instead of just running on the hamster wheel of coming up with concepts and be like, oh, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, but actually executing and knocking one thing down until the domino effect takes place is a big one.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So we're going to be going over, we're going to talk specifically to content creators or business owners who are running their own content right now. We want to kind of hit home on the opportunities that can present themselves if done right. So in terms of, that's going to be loud in the video, it's storming. But in terms of the communities that we have right now, mine are mainly focused towards the creative side of video. So we mainly work on defining what quality is. Story over the look. We talk about how to create content that is telling a story, capturing attention, and being able to serve your marketing efforts successfully. Wow, Owen, what kind of community are y'all running over there?
This is actually how to develop an entire brand from the ground up, and how to actually take the content that you develop and how to make sure it gets in front of as many eyeballs as possible by also offering a product and making sure that you can monetize it. So we take your talents and turn it into money.
Boom. That's good stuff. Because that's something that I've been learning a lot of lately is there's a difference between the branding side of things and the marketing side of things. And people like to focus heavily on brand or marketing without paying attention to their branding, or they focus so much on branding without understanding what their market looks like. And then they get confused as to why their efforts aren't working. And from my interpretation, branding is what people are going to see, smell, look, taste when they see your brand or walk into your establishment if you're brick and mortar. And then marketing is the eyes that you are getting to bring to your brand.
Yeah. So brand, I think, is the association of two or more things, and that could be, ideology, people involved, anything that corresponds to what your message and your icon is. So people think of brand, they're like, oh, Nike, the swish. That's a fraction of the brand. That's just a logo. But brand, Nike stands for, don't give up, hard, work hard, effort.
Just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Being athletic, all those things represent Nike. Being able to finish and follow through, versus Wells Fargo is give me all your money, we're gonna fractionalize it. But the association, the things that you associate with, versus if you were to go to an F1 race and you're gonna see all the Rolex ads and maybe some golf stuff or anything that's very bougie, that's an association of numerous things that are all luxury, and they're gonna represent wealth. So when you put a bunch of things together like that represents brand. When we talk about marketing, it's the ability to actually put that in front of as many people as possible, and ideally the right people that are going to correspond with what your brand represents, so you can actually offer a product or service for that.
That's good. Yeah. See, and that's something that I feel like a lot of us need to hear, because we tend to put those in the same group when in reality they deserve attention of their own. That's why you have marketing specialists, branding specialists, because you have they are two important tasks that need to be handled on their own. They can't be grouped together. Now, with that being said, content creation. It's everyone's doing it. Content creation, that obviously it's what's winning. Video content is what's winning. I think there is a difference somewhere that people don't understand. Like when someone's creating content, they're like, dude, I use the newest Sony. I like my lighting, I feel like looked good. How I was speaking looked good. And I feel like they get so focused on that, and they're like, how did I get 1 view, but then I made an iPhone video over here and it got 10,000. Yeah. I hate this. And then they want to go sell their camera and stuff. But we were talking about this earlier. Mm-hmm. The look. I mean, the whole saying, you can put a bow on a turd, but the turd's not going to look any better.
Sure.
While if you put a bow on a diamond, now we're talking.
Yeah.
The story, the content, the information given is here. Mm-hmm. The look of it is only going to make it. And the look doesn't mean 12K pixels. Mm-hmm. The look is intentional. The look is depending on the story. Mm-hmm. If I'm showing you behind the scenes of this setup, I'm probably going to use my phone because I want it to feel raw.
Yes.
Now, if I'm going to invest to top paying investors, we're going to use these cameras because they need to see credibility and profession.
Yes.
So you want to dive deeper on like what video content works best for the marketing efforts.
So it's funny that you mentioned, I'm happy that we prefaced by what is brand versus marketing, because you set the stage very nice. So to paint on the canvas, you need to keep in mind who your target audience is and who your avatar is, because that's going to dictate everything. You might be skilled enough or might have a team skilled enough to be able to do very high production value like this, or you might only need an iPhone based on what you're shooting behind the scenes, right? But based on who the people is that you're trying to communicate with is going to completely depend on how you film that content. So again, like you said, if we're going to be filming very professional corporate things, real estate or something of this nature, then you want that professionalism look. But if we're going to be making like UGC videos on TikTok, we're going to want some, high schooler making videos with a fish lens on my forehead and being goofy with awful lighting. Yeah. And it's going to convert. It just depends on who you're trying to actually get in touch with and who you're trying to relay that message to.
Yeah. See, that's good. And honestly, on my side of things, because where we connect is the commercial world. Something that I feel like a lot of creators also maybe relate with is we want to make movies. You want to make money so that we can make movies. When it comes to, long form, maybe YouTube content, short films, when it comes to the entertainment side of things, you're still not only focused on the look. That's where people get tripped up. The Creator is a movie that just came out. It's a sci-fi film.
It's a great movie.
The whole thing was filmed on a camera that is about the same price as that camera.
Really?
It is filmed
I didn't know that.
Sony FX3. It is a camera that every single content creator who is creating some kind of, upper level look, they have it. And it's because they focused. So now, obviously, I'm going to get a lot of heat. Obviously, they paid a lot of money for CGI. Sure. They had a lot of CGI to help bring the world together. But the most important aspect was the story.
Yes.
You fell in love with the story that you didn't even care about the look anymore. The look was just like to help you dive in, but the look also was dependent upon the story.
Yeah.
The Sony FX3 gives you that digital look that you would get from a sci-fi film, so it just falls into place with what the story is saying. It's the same exact thing to the commercial world. Take your story from the entertainment world, go to the commercial world, and now that's your call to action, or that's your hook, that's your message. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. Everything's got to go off of this. If your message, like Owen just said, is UGC content, or if your form, your platform, if your content creation, what am I thinking of? Content creation outline or format is UGC. It's phone. It's raw. It's organic. It makes the person feel like they are just getting a video message from you. Like it just feels like they're texting a friend or they're FaceTiming a friend. It's natural. You can relate with it.
Feels very native.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's something that I feel like a lot of videographers and content creators get wrong is obviously we see, especially gearheads, we want the top quality.
Mm-hmm.
Like we are absolutely fiending after the top quality. How soon can I buy this $90,000 camera and just make it look like, Michael Bay just filmed this?
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, in the commercial world, there are people making more money than Michael Bay off of filming on their phone.
Yep. That's what's funny is because when we focus on marketing and different sales channels, and by sales channels I mean like Meta, TikTok, Google, whatever it might be, they're all different. And being able to identify what type of content is native and looks, when you think of Google and you search for something on Google, it's not going to be the same as if you're looking for something on like a TikTok shop, for instance, or if you come across a brand on Instagram, you're scrolling, you resonate with something, oh, that's cool, I want to pick that up.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be, like the content that's generated on each of those platforms, they're all different and they're all designed and geared that way. So by studying those platforms, you can identify that. And if you have the lens to be able to identify what is native and what converts on there, what gets the most traction, what gets the most attention, then being able to couple that with your ability and your talent, then you'll be able to identify, okay, I know what type of content needs to be generated for said platform if I have something in mind.
That's something else for like, I know we're mainly speaking to the people who are creating their own content right now, but specifically for the people who are outsourcing, that's something that I feel like a lot of people don't understand is you can't make one video and win. You can't have one campaign and then win. The whole research and development, test and analyze. You test, figure out. This is something that I learned when working with you. It's because I had the assumption that when I make a video for somebody, through their marketing efforts, it's done.
No.
But in this world, you've got to test. You've got to be like, all right, I'm going to have all these different hooks, content ideas. I'm going to have all these different videos, and we're going to put 30 at one time.
It's a lot of work.
And then be like, all right, which one's going to work? And then you analyze, and you're like, okay, this one did good. This one. Okay, let's try this, and let's try this new hook. And then it's all about finding that until you get the 3 that are like, okay, here's the 3 that are going to give me the most ROI. So let's make 100 videos just like this, and then blast it. See, that is something that for the people who are outsourcing video, you need to understand it's not a one and done. Like, you've got to create multiple pushes of content. So whenever I have people who come to me and they're like, I want you to make our social media content. I'm like, okay, are you going to like post it organically? Do I need to find somebody to market this for you? And they're like, we're just going to post it organically. I'm like, okay, we're going to need a lot. And they're like, okay. So then we'll film like 10 videos, and, and they'll post them. They're like, why didn't anything happen? I'm like, you posted 10 videos.
Yeah.
You got to post like
1,000.
You got to post 1,000 before. Like, if you post 1,000 videos and then you're like, nothing's changed, okay, there's a concern there. Maybe there's something else. Maybe your offer isn't good enough.
Yeah.
But you can't just post for a month and be like, all right,
it's not enough. No.
Let's see what happened.
No, it's the marketing expense of content and actually ad spend if you're running paid ads. If not, and you're just doing organic, like the sheer volume of work that needs to be contributed towards content creation it's hefty. It's a lot. And you also need to test all those variables. Tremendous, like hooks play a huge role. Hooks are probably the highest leverage thing, but like you said, it's so much research and development. And like the amount of time that you're going to dedicate to just researching and analyzing and prepping and script writing all those things for the content, the execution of making the content is 10% of it. 90% of it is actual research and doing all the prep work and coming up with the ideas, the concepts, and putting all that together. That's where most of it, like most of the weight of the work is. And then actually executing and putting it together is the easy part. And then testing and analyzing.
Tell me this, because I know the answer, but I want everyone to know this. Where does most of the work happen after you hit record, or does it need to happen before you ever hit record?
Before.
Obviously. It's like it's like there's so many people who like make the content and they film it and they're like, all right, what are we gonna do with this? When it's like, no. You should have already known your target audience. You should have already known like where the hook is gonna go. Like you should know all this stuff. You should have it all written out. You should be able to hit record, edit, and hands like boots on the ground the next day.
Yeah.
Like you should spend a month crafting what happens before you hit record.
Yeah.
And after you hit record, you should be analyzing and testing within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
If that.
I mean, once you hit record, like that's just the process of recording, and then like once it's in the marketer's hands and you're actually testing the content, posting it, and actually seeing what picks up traction, what doesn't. That's kind of where my heart drops, because like once it's already taken care of, the checks have been signed, everything's set up. You're like, okay, we got to analyze all this now and see what happens. And then sometimes more common than not, you're not going to get results. So it's sheer force and volume of just testing loads of volume until you can find something that converts. And then once something works, whether it's to just get views and get traction, or if you're actually trying to get direct response and get cash flow in, it's like you're gonna have to test a lot to be able to find what works. And like people are so discouraged so easily. And if you're not in it for the long haul, if your back's not against the wall and you're like, I'm just gonna curl up and turtle and be done, like you have to really want to fall through that. It's like you have to do it until it works. Yeah. Not if it works. When it works, I will make it work. So it's like there's so much that goes into it. It's like you just can't give up, because there's test 10 videos, nothing happened, dude. 10 videos, dude. Like we talked about Hormozy a few times, but dude, he made a video. It's like he was talking to one of his buddies that owned like a 7-8 figure company. He's like how much are you doing? He's like I probably put out like 20 videos a week. He's like, dude, we do 250 videos a week. And then the guy was just like, all right, enough said, I got it. Understood. Yeah. He's like, you're not doing enough. He's like, you're being a bitch. And
that's something that like, I feel like making all that content, it, like you said, you've got to have your back against the wall. When people create goals for their business, they make it in like a linear. They're like, here's where I am. What?
That's so ridiculous. That's comedic.
Where they're like,
we're going to the moon, baby.
Yeah, here's where I am. There it is. It's right there. We're gonna get there. And it's little do you know, it's not a linear path. It's a maze.
Oh yeah, it's a maze.
When people make that linear path, that's when they already fail, because they start making steps, and then something happens, and they have to take steps back. Mm-hmm. And they're like, now I'm getting further away from my goal. Might as well find something new. When in reality, it's a maze. You are still moving towards your goal, but if you move back, it's because you have to move back to get to that next tunnel.
That's right. That's right.
A maze is the entrepreneurial path. A maze is the business owner path.
Yeah.
Steps to the side, steps back, pivots, steps forward. It's all going to happen. And now it's raining. That's going to be tough to edit out, but it's okay. We'll make it happen.
That's rough. Bad balance for the boys.
I was showing you that.
Perfect. Love it. Absolutely phenomenal. But no, you're absolutely right. It's literally like Maze Runner, bro. Not only does the maze, it fucking moves too, bro. It's brutal.
It's moving.
But no, it's still a lot of fun, and if you like surprises and you like new encounters and having to solve problems all the time, and utilize your critical thinking, then it's definitely for you. But that's super distracting.
We may need to call it for this episode. We're at an hour. We may need to call it.
Okay.
And then just wait for this to die down, because that's bad.
It's gonna be rough, huh?
This is gonna be bad. Yeah. But we already got a lot of comments, so we're good.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna end this episode. I think it was God saying, "Hey, episode's time to be done. The rain is coming down, and we can not hear ourselves think." If you got anything out of this video, make sure to subscribe for more detailed breakdowns on topics like marketing and video content, and stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you there.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope this was of value to you and you guys got some information out of this. I hope it was helpful. Like and subscribe if you are interested in business, learning about marketing, branding. Be sure to go check out Veritas Ecom, and if you guys are willing to look, what are we gonna? No shot, dude. Use that as the bleep, bro. That'd be so funny. Oh man, that's priceless.
We're still like 5 years old.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
That's what they say.
Hey, is the video over? Are we done with this one?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
reset.